All right, welcome to another Talking Rooster Talk. I've got Shaun from a young entrepreneur who runs a restaurant called Sedap in Victoria Park. Is Victoria Park in Perth? Shaun,
Yep.
maybe a good way to start is intro yourself, and then we go from there.
Yep. Hey, Noel, how are you?
Good. Don't worry.
Good to hear. So, I'm Shaun. So, I run the restaurant called Sedap Place, which is located at East Victoria Park. So, it's basically a Malaysian cuisine restaurant, and we actually brand it in a way that it's all in the modern setting, okay, modern, fun kind of environment, and then authentic food. So, this is what we actually brand ourselves for our restaurant. And so lately all the COVID-19 things happening around us drove us to actually a huge change in terms of what's happening in the business. And it's a huge change for the organization as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, one of the reasons I guess we spoke about it, and the reason why I wanted to have a chat with you is to find out what people like yourself. I mean, you're the ones that get hit. Well, I wouldn't say the hardest, but one of the ones that got hit hard. And what you're doing in terms of how to move forward, as opposed to innovating what your business, changing the way you do business. Just to as the Prime Minister said, go into hibernation for, wait till the storm is over. Maybe
Right.
share that kind of thoughts with us.
Right. You brought in actually a very important keyword, which is innovation. So when this thing hit us, it basically drove us to actually change in terms of pretty much our business model pretty much entirely. I mean, if you talk about the previous business model, we get basically like 80-90% of our clients in-house. And right now, because of all this isolation, people are not allowed to actually go out, not allowed to be in close contact with other people. So we have actually ceased our in-house dining. So in other words, we have to figure out how do we cover the other business model of having food to our clients' doorstep, literally. So that's basically the 10 or 20% of the market that we have been focusing on previously. And right now we have to switch our focus to innovate. How do we push this 10-20% back to where we are previously, ideally? So we are doing a lot of innovation, change in the whole business plan, and just to cover that portion. I mean, when we actually started out this business itself, it took us literally like maybe 3 to 6 months to come up with the systems and whatnot in terms of how we actually operate the whole business in a more efficient and effective manner, with all the controls there, processes and whatnot. And when this thing hit, I would say we had to really change things entirely. I would say overnight. So it really drove us to a level which we haven't been before. So basically, the key portion here is really talking about innovation. How do we make full use of our resources? How do we maneuver around with our resources? And how do we react fast enough to adapt to this change? And when all this thing happened, first thing that came into mind is product to market match. It always comes back to that fundamental. Because right now, with all these things change, the product to market match is not that well fit. We don't have a strong fit because people actually can't come to dine in. So there is a huge demand in terms of takeout orders or pre-orders or deliveries or whatnot. So we have to figure out that portion of the market and how do we actually come up with the right product, with the right kind of service, right kind of processes to actually have that right product to market match. So it encompasses a lot of changes in organization and a lot of systems and processes overnight just to take care of that portion. Yeah.
It's interesting because I just had a conversation, as I mentioned to you, and it was quite a high-level conversation about tourism and the airline industry, you know, how they could manage things, and the conversation was that this situation, you know, requires innovation, but at the end of the product there's a level of efficiency or increased efficiency in business models, which is what you're applying to, because suddenly overnight you've had to change it, but you still got to make money. I mean, you still got to survive in some degree. Make money might be a lesser extent than surviving.
Yes.
But that encompasses an increase in efficiency, and that's what you're referring to, right? You need to change your product, the way you do it,
Yes,
and
definitely.
be able to survive, I guess.
Yes, yes. I mean, efficiency to me is one of the key things as well. It's not the only thing, but it's one of the things that we are focusing on. Because when all this thing happens, when it hits the business hard, you have a lot of, I would say, a lot of businesses might run into cash flow issue, would deplete their resources pretty much, and quite dramatically in a short time of manner. So
Yeah.
how does a business actually turn around and react, and will be able to sustain even for some? And efficiency and how well you make use of the resources comes into a very, very important place. So that's where we actually have to see like what changes needs to be done in our organization. Processes needs to be, our resources, our manpower, even our operations, all these things needs to be changed. All right, all these things needs to be changed in order for us to be more efficient, where everything in terms of operational, we are running at a healthy efficiency level. Things are done in an effective manner as well, because we don't have much, I would say, you don't have the luxury where you can deplete your resources so much, where situations right now might be actually quite uncertain, where we don't know actually how this will. So we need to conserve our resources as much as possible and try to eat back, as in take back our market share, which overnight we pretty much lost it when customers don't come and dine in.
Are you seeing or sort of, are you forecasting an issue with your logistics, like your supply chain, you know, your ingredients and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, to us itself, we don't have a huge issue in terms of logistics at the moment, because when this thing happened, we reacted fast enough, because for ourselves, we do have a central kitchen overseas. So we actually ship in all of our supplies for the raw forms of paste and whatnot, the raw materials of it. So we ship it over. We kind of preempt that this thing might happen, because we saw a lot of indication when other big countries are being hit by it, the steps that those countries are doing. So we use that as a form of advanced information. PM steps might happen here. So we took that level of risk mitigation, where we had that supplies here. So we are quite protected on that manner, or rather we lower down that risk down to the bare minimum. So the only risk right now are those fresh ingredients here. And in terms of logistics, we might have some concern there, where some suppliers have actually closed their operation, unfortunately. But luckily, in terms of our supply chain, we always have risk mitigation as one of our factors. So we don't solely depend on a single supply, for example. We have multiple suppliers. So we can always move our supplies around. So in that manner, to us, fortunately, things are looking still fine on that. And with the business owners of the suppliers, right now they don't have any inclination to close, unless the government steps in saying override, okay, all businesses you need to close operation for a certain period of time. Then it might actually also impact us, that even us ourselves, we are not allowed to open.
Yeah, I guess, you know, it's a day by day proposition, and sounds
Very
or
true.
looks like the government is trying to allow as much normality to occur as possible without
Yeah.
having this, as you've just described, a total shutdown of systems.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Exactly.
so yeah, so I guess in some ways, management 101 always tells you to never put all your eggs in one basket, and by design or not by design, it
Exactly.
either works out or it doesn't work out, I guess, in some ways.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why, I mean, when we reflect things, when we actually take a step back to look at this situation um, from the sidelines, it's a blessing that we actually had those systems in place when we set up the whole company previously. We focus on some things which actually quite a lot of organizations don't really put attention on, which is like, I mean, down to the basics of, I mean, risk mitigation, like, I mean, suppliers and whatnot, having that amount of systems that control over your supply chain. So we look into those kind of level of details um, for us to actually operate in a right efficiency level and that right risk level that a business should be in.
I
Yeah.
mean, I guess in some ways, sorry to interrupt, but when you open this business, I guess you would never had envisaged a situation like this.
Yes, never, definitely never. Over my, I think, 10, 20 years of experience doing businesses, and this is one of the weird things happening. So to me, it's pretty interesting when this thing happened. It kind of force you to a situation where you kind of like dig up all your experience and whatnot. You're trying to figure out how do you react to this? How do you innovate your business? How do you need to change to be able to capture back the market share that you lost? And a lot of things need to happen really, really fast because things are happening fast, and you if you don't react fast enough, that's it. You see, and
Yeah.
and another thing is that this also forces to focus into an area of our business model which we didn't really put a lot of attention on, which is talking about right now we're talking about what deliveries, we're talking about takeaways, we are talking about people doing takeout, having how do we get our food on people's doorstep, which is to us previously we only put like 10-20% of it, but right now we are shifting the entire gear to focus on that 100%. So to me, in a way, I look at it as also a blessing. It gives me as a business owner to actually have that level of attention to force me to make decisions as well. And it strengthened my business overall, I would say. When this thing turns to better or to improve back to the normal state. Because, I mean, this virus thing, we all know it's going to be a temporary thing. It's not going to be a permanent thing. So it's a matter of time when this thing leaves, when this thing will have a proper solution there, and we'll go back to our normal lives, our operation goes back to normal. But you have the other business model, which these couple of months we have been doing and strengthening, and with the other business model that we already have established previous years. So when after this, when we count as a whole, we have this kind of pie here strengthened, and I would say it's much healthier for the business after this. I would say, yeah,
That's a good point, because one of the discussions I had earlier with Andy Jiang about
yeah,
the state of tourism and international tourism, domestic. I mean, one of the things that we all know is that even domestically, we could be out of this in, let's be optimistic and say 3 months or weeks.
yeah,
But in terms of the tourism, the domestic tourism may start to build and be, because it's very, very unlikely we're all going to go traveling in short term, 6 months, 12 months, and it's very unlikely we're going to let people in like we did before. And if there's an onset of a second wave of the virus, is excuse me, like the likes of China is anticipating. So domestic, like for yourself, I mean, once you sort of restructure yourself, I guess the bright side is that you're going to get a lot more domestic consumption because people can go. So someone may spend $50 domestically, $50 internationally. Now will be spending $100 domestically in a simplistic way.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a good omen, I guess.
Yep. That's one of the bright side when I look at it, for sure. So it put us into a situation where we put in all our resources into an area which we didn't have the true focus on previously. And with now strengthening that part of the business model, coming back with the previous business model we have with these two ties joined together, definitely much stronger. I mean, once we get off this tunnel.
Oh, sounds good. Sounds like you got your work cut out for you. You're busy and using those brain cells of yours to figure out what to do.
Yes, definitely. I would say I'm pretty blessed when all these things happen as well. I mean, the employees stood by us, and they were really understanding, and they innovate together with us, which is, I would say, very crucial. I mean, if let's say as a business owner, we want to drive this change, but the team down below, they can't catch up with us, they can't innovate as fast as us, that would be a real challenge for us. So I'm pretty blessed that I had that few key players in the organization that they can innovate together with us and change such drastically in such a short time manner. So I'm really grateful having such people by my side.
Well, I'll give you one more challenge, Shaun. How are you going to how are you going to put your ice kacang in a takeaway box?
There was one client of mine who missed it so much, and she's very particular in terms of how it tastes. So what we did was, we took it away, and she literally had to stand outside of my restaurant eating there in the takeaway box. I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad. But yet happy that I had customers craving until that manner. So kind of mixed experiences, I would say, definitely memorable for the rest of my life. Yeah.
I actually might be one. I actually might be one of those customers.
Because we are not allowed to dine in, you see, and when you take that way back home after maybe 5-10 minutes, it's not at the right state, you see. So they literally had to like stand out there and eat. I was like, okay.
All right, Shaun. Thanks for giving me time. I just really wanted to reach out to someone on the local level. Who's. I know you're innovating in your business. I think everybody is doing the same. Every restaurant is doing the same. I just want to get some input from you guys, and just to keep the news flowing. And appreciate that.
Pleasure. No.
All right, thanks, Shaun. And I'll be one of those guys hanging outside waiting for my ice kacang.
All right, give me a buzz then.
All right, thank you, Shaun.
All right, thanks, Noel. See ya.
Okay.